Ciao a tutti and you welcome a new episode of POP, Progress Over Perfection. Today we talk about business and relationship. What we need to do to have a successful business and a successful relationship. Today I'm going to talk with my friend Michael Worthington. Michael is an entrepreneur from Perth and he's running business for the last 30 years and is married for the last 35. So I asked him to tell us what is the secret to have a successful business and a successful family. So if you like the episode, just press the follow, share it, and see you the next. Now let's start listen the interview. Ciao. People around the world, you're welcome on POP Podcast, Progress Over Perfection, the podcast that will change your life forever. Are you ready? Let's go! Hi, Michael. How are you?
Hi, Mauro. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thank you to be here today.
You're more than welcome.
Today we talk about relationship and the business. I know that you are working with people in business. You help them to get their business straight and actually succeed in the business. But what was very interesting for me, that you succeed not only as entrepreneur, but you succeed with your family. So before to start to understand what do we need if we have business and relationship, what we have to do, I would like to ask you, what is the journey for you? What has been the journey for you to become a successful entrepreneur?
I think necessity. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they just hit rock bottom or they find themselves in a really hard place. So the only way they can go is up. I wouldn't say I was in a really hard place in the fact of being financially broke, but I came out of the military. So I had no real skills for what we'd call civilian life. Our life now, normal life, normal people have. So no one would employ me. So the job I got was office cleaning. Used to go around with a backpack on, a vacuum cleaner on my back and a feather duster, and I laugh about it now. But it's amazing how opportunities come up when you're looking for them. And my journey began because after one of the night shifts, because it's all night work in offices, cleaning them, I happened to have a coffee in a cafe and a gentleman was in there and he mistook me as an owner of a cleaning business. And he just leaned across and he said, "Oh, you're cleaning?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, would you like to sell me your cleaning range? I'm looking at building a big company and I want to buy some cleaning range." Well, I didn't own the company. I was just a cleaner. I was Sadie, the cleaning lady, with a good Aussie song. And I said, "Well, I don't own it." And he went, I said, "But tell me more. Maybe I can get some for you." And he just told me how you went out, burnt some shoe leather back in those days, knocked on doors, offered to do quotes for people. And if I got the quote, he would pay me, I think it was 50, could have been up to 50% of the contract. It was a really good contract. So I'm ex-military, marching, walking around, knocking on doors. No, it just had no fear, I suppose. I think a lot of people have a fear of asking, but if you don't ask, the answer is always no anyway, so it's not going to change. So as I did door knocking and got these rounds, went to his office, and true to his word, he bought them off me and made a lot of money doing that. But your naivety comes in because when you don't know what you don't know. And I had the impression he was going to run out of money. In my mind, and he can't keep this up. I better find something else to do, which is absolutely crazy. And the fact that, there's more than one person willing to buy cleaning rounds, and you can probably still do it today. So that caused me to then shift. But during that journey, the reason people say, "Well, why did you get to the military in the first place?" And it comes back to family. We had 2 small children at that stage. And my wife said, "Well, we really need to settle down, give the kids stability, stop traveling all around Australia." I was in the Australian military and, traveling everywhere, changing schools, doing all that. And I agreed with that. I came from a family that moved everywhere, and I moved from country to country. I moved from England to Australia, so a little bit like yourself, Mauro. And so I understood the value, or to me, the value of stability for my children to grow up. I remember my daughter, is 33 now, and she's still got friends from when she very first went to her first day at kindergarten. So to me, it's been a well worth thing. So that's how I got into entrepreneurship. What the guy taught me though is don't be a business owner. And I think this stuck really early. Business owner, solopreneur, mompreneur, all these fancy names they give people. They just trap people into a thing that says, it's my business, I run it, everyone works for me. They get employees, they all, and it's like, but then you just trap yourself in. And what this gentleman taught me was, you're there to build a business, which means you step outside of the business and look inside. And if it's treat it like it's not even yours. And if you're not the best CEO, put the best CEO in. If you're not the best salesperson, put the best salesperson in. And yeah, you do need customers, but you know how many business people I speak, and this is a real error that I think and really traps people. The very first time I speak to business owners and I say, what would you like to do? They say, get more customers, make more sales. And I'm like, that's just foreign to me. Because my attitude is, well, I would have thought you'd want to know how to structure it and build it so the thing grows itself and other people do those things, not you. So I think that's really at the heart of entrepreneurship. Stop calling yourself a business owner and think of, if I was to build this business and it was John's or Sally's next door and they asked me to help them, what would I be saying to them? And it probably is not going to be, let's go door knocking and get your first customer. Let's get someone else to do that.
So the first step to become a successful entrepreneur, for what I understand, is stopping to call yourself a business owner and actually let business builder. Very
because
interesting.
now you can build several businesses. So you hear companies that got divisions. Well, really, in a big company that's got divisions, what you're really looking at is smaller companies within inside a company. Those different divisions will have different values, they'll have different purposes, and that's why they split them up. And that's why they put different management teams to run different divisions. So once you become a business owner, you can start dividing your business up. And when I work with people, I don't tell them the direction we're going, but it doesn't take long for them to start working out and going. And, they look at my mapping and going, it doesn't take long. After a few sessions, they're going, you know what, you've just broken up here. I've actually got 3 different businesses. You do. And they go, I can't manage 3 different businesses. Congratulations. I don't want you to. I want other people to do that for you and you reap the rewards.
That is called entrepreneurship.
That's called entrepreneurship. But if you did it initially to people when they very first meet me, it will put them off, scare them, and they go, I'm not capable. After a few sessions, they start seeing the doors opening and going, you know what, if I've come this far, maybe I can do the next step. And they're just small steps, but they don't take long to do.
Very, very interesting. In fact, you were able to build several businesses. You own as well a radio station. And this I thought was one of the most interesting things I've ever heard from someone. You don't know many people own a radio station, So, well, I want to ask you, Michael, what was the challenge in to be an entrepreneur? What are the challenge to become an entrepreneur?
Yourself. Having the courage to go for it. So I always say to people, if you really want this, if you really want to be an entrepreneur and really want to be successful, the one person that's going to stop you is looking back at you in the mirror. I was in a position where I couldn't get a job, so I got a job, and I was in a position where I got a bit of a break. And everyone has luck. I do believe that everyone does get lucky breaks, but everybody gets a lucky break. Everybody gets the opportunity. And the people that tell me, no, that's never happened to me, I said, well, think back in life. Are there things you wish you would have done differently? And they all tell me yes. I said, well, they were your opportunities. You just walked past them for whatever reason. But whatever the reason is, it's just an excuse. So whatever excuse you want to give yourself, you might as well give yourself any excuse. It doesn't matter. It's still an excuse. But I say to people, they say, well, how do you start your day? And it does start with habits. Successful people or entrepreneurs really do have some interesting habits that are common amongst all of them. Probably really basically, they'll wake up in the morning and they will not pick up the mobile phone. They will not check the emails. They will not look at social media. They won't do any of that stuff. They don't need that stuff to motivate them. They normally have a routine. Some get up, have their shower, plan their day in the shower. That's an Elon Musk strategy. He'll review what he plans to do for the day. Some people like to just get up, go for walks. Some go to the gym. Some go, I'm making breakfast for the family, and we'll sit and have family breakfast together. It's not checking social media and engaging with the world. It's engaging with themselves and with their families. That's where the difference is. And it's very common amongst all multimillionaires, all entrepreneurs. The first call in the morning is to connect with themselves and their family, and they have strategies to do that, not start engaging with the outside world. That will defeat you. And, the guys that I mix with, and you look at a Tony Robbins, I'm Myron Golden and all the rest of the guys, they'll call this your golden hour. They call it the golden hour because you get this right, you get the gold. that's it. So they've
The
really got
golden hour is the first hour that you wake up.
correct.
Is what matters.
Have that set up and make it a habit. And I think the next thing they're very strict on, they realize that, look, business is a very easy thing to get into. You don't have to go to university. You don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be anything special. Anyone can get into business, because business is about people, and it's about focusing on people and other people's needs. That's what business is really about. So they understand that we've all got 24 hours in a day, so our time is exactly the same for each of us. So it's how you spend that time. Because they say time management. Well, that's rubbish. You can't manage time. Their seconds will tick by no matter what. You can't speed it up, slow it down. What you do is manage priorities, which are basically motivations, what's important to you. So they'll say things that have got importance but not really important. They say emails. So back in the day, before we had emails, we'd go to our mailbox maybe once a day and check the mail. Most of the entrepreneurs I know, they may have once, possibly 2 times they will check that mailbox. After their golden hour, they'll grab their emails, check them, deal with them. Whatever's dealt with is, say they give themselves 30 minutes. Whatever's dealt with gets dealt with, and what doesn't. Don't worry, I have people write to me and say, I wrote you yesterday. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't get you. But don't worry, the good news is you're in tomorrow's draw. And I might pull your email out tomorrow. It's a bit like lottery.
I would like to go back at this part with the family. That is what we talk about here. But I would like to ask you, what has been the biggest challenge in your entrepreneurship, in your story, if you want to share?
Yeah, I think the biggest, what would be the biggest challenge? I think lack of confidence was probably the biggest challenge initially, and not believing in myself enough. My wife believed in me. I've always involved my wife in the businesses, and even when we had a construction company, she ran the office. So I do believe in working with my wife. People said, "Oh, work with your wife." Why not? You love her. It's great. Just make sure you got separate offices. I'm not that crazy. but where to go? So discuss business at the dinner table with the kids around. You find, people say, oh, why do millionaire kids all grow up to be, successful? Because they've sat around a dinner table and heard all these talks about business around the dinner table. But that biggest challenge is that self-confidence. So you definitely need the supporters around you to say, yes, you can. And I think what you really need to do with confidence, and I call it, and people laugh at me, but I say you need to be really almost slightly delusional in your own abilities. That there is no difference between me, you, Richard Branson, Elon Musk. I just think Elon Musk and Richard Branson, and Ida Buttrose. I love Ida Buttrose. I think she's absolutely fantastic businesswoman here in Australia. They're just slightly delusional about their abilities, and you go, how can you actually believe you're going to pull this off? And they just do. And it does pay not to question yourself, not to question your abilities, just to go, I'm going to do this. As you know, I do contract negotiation for companies. Now, I go to, I've been to Iraq, I've been to Indonesia, I've been to China. I go to countries I don't even speak the language and expect to do business deals. That's delusional, mate. That is really delusional. That's crazy. You're going to a country, they don't speak English, you don't speak their language, and you're going to go and think you're going to do a business deal? Yep, I do. And they go, you're mad. Yeah, it's great. And guess what? I always get the deal. So that's the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is not to question yourself. Don't let those doubts come in. And I've had them. Now I just look back at what I've been able to do when I haven't questioned the doubts, just done it anyway. And what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You land in Beijing or Luzhou or one of the Guangzhou or wherever you're landing, and no one can talk to you and you have to come home and nothing happened. That's the worst. No one's going to take your birthday off you. So that's the good news. Yeah.
Especially, well, maybe now it's getting a little bit better. Maybe 10 years ago was actually like that. No one was speaking English. I remember in Italy now, the young generation start to speak English a little bit more often. But 10 years ago, we didn't need to speak English.
But the business people did.
Yes, the business people
did. And so it's who we mix with. You can tell me that you can go to, I went to China at Christmas time, and people say, well, do they all speak English? No. Well, how do you communicate? But the people I'm dealing with will have an interpreter. And this is why they're in the business of doing business. These people have been doing business worldwide, internationally for decades. There is no issue. You can go to any country in the world and do business. And it's not just me. This has been going on for decades. That's how people succeed. So, yeah, we tend to look at our circle and say, well, this is true for the circle that I mix in, so it must be true everywhere. Well, that's not true. That's false. Look outside of your circle and say, well, how does Branson have 40 companies in God knows how many countries now, and he can only speak English, and he's dyslexic, so he can't even read properly. So there you go. So you think you've got challenges. There's a multi-billionaire challenge. Elon Musk is perhaps not the most sociable person on the planet, when it comes to interpersonal skills, and yet he still manages to get through, get people liking it and be successful. Ida Buttrose is just ruthless, about when she started off in Australia, she worked for a guy called Kerry Packer back in the day, where females were designated to push the tea trolley, and maybe get everyone a cup of tea. She started running departments, and I'm virtually bullied Kerry Packer, who's a tough guy himself. I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and when she got promoted to head of one of his departments, someone said, "Oh, you put her in charge because she's a woman." He said, "I put her in charge because she's the best person to get the job done." Everyone's got challenges. The limitation is yourself. If you really believe I'm a girl, so I can't do it. I'm a guy, so I can't do that. I have not got really good interpersonal, so I can't do that. I haven't got the qualification. That's absolute garbage. Absolute. I can't speak their language. I couldn't go to their country. Absolute garbage. Yeah, rubbish.
I like your attitude on you can do it if you want. I think it's very, very important. Can I ask, what is the biggest mistake have you made in your entrepreneurship history?
Biggest mistake, opportunities that I've missed, I suppose. Really, that's an interesting one. I think sometimes you have regrets on businesses you've sold because you feel like you've exited too early, where there was more profits to be had, maybe longer. But people talk about mistakes, and I really struggle to talk about them because I really think that if I say it was a mistake, it means I wish I'd done it differently. And if I'd done it differently, I wouldn't be doing what I was doing today. So I actually don't believe you make mistakes. I think everything happens for a reason. You can make technical mistakes whilst you're running a business. Yes, that is true. And you can miss opportunities and sales, but they're just learning curves. So mistakes as mistakes. No, there's mistakes as mistakes. They're just all learning. So every mistake teaches you something. And I don't really think they're mistakes. I think you're just not ready at that time. But I sold a business early. It's because I wasn't ready to take to the next level. If I missed on a big contract, I missed out on one. I think it was about 20 million or something. It was going to be one of the biggest ones I'd done. And I really stuffed up the presentation and really made a hash of it. And I suppose you could say, well, you made mistakes. You could have won it. But when I analyzed it after, it's like, if I'd have won that $20 million deal, could I have fulfilled it? Was I actually in the right position? And I missed on that, and I picked up a $15 million and a $30 million deal in the next month. So it was like, I just don't look at I just don't have regrets. I don't ponder on those things. I just think, okay, that happened. It happened for a reason. I've learned something. Great. I'll use it next time. Yeah.
What is the influence of your family, your relationship in your success?
The influence is huge. I mean, I got into this because of family. I've always involved my family. You know, my wife's always worked with me in one capacity or another. My kids know everything that I do, to the extent that, you know, where I live by the ocean, you know, my daughter, my son-in-law, my grandson got the house downstairs, and we built upstairs. So I have a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs because I didn't want a house. I was going to sell it and downsize, easy to look after, and they said, why don't we do this? So, yeah, so family is very, very important. I think if you're not going to do it for your family, you know, I think it was Donald Trump, like him or hate him, it doesn't matter, but he said, if you're not born into a rich family, you have the responsibility to leave it as a rich family. And that really struck a chord with me. I was born in, you know, I come from the north of England, typical, no money, you know, come to Australia. I'm just a kid, you know, cabinet making was my first apprenticeship. You know, hated it. That's why I got into the military. So it didn't come from money. But when I heard that statement, if you don't come from a rich family, it's your responsibility to leave it as a rich family. And that struck with me. And I think that was the decider. And then it was, okay, how can I do this? And I wasn't going to do it in the military. And when my wife suggested getting out, it was like, okay, let's get out. Realize it's not all roses and Skittles out here. You know, it can be a bit tough, the journey. But yeah, and that always looking for, where can I make the money? Where can I make the money? And that led to just chat to people in, you know, a coffee shop, that led to sales, that led to opening the world up into what business is. Yeah.
What do you think you need as an entrepreneur to be successful in your work and your relationship?
Honesty, transparency. You know, my wife sees all the books, you know, sees them, she does them, you know. So finances is probably one of the biggest things that's going, if we're honest, is going to kill a family, you know, because when the struggles come in, it comes to a financial struggle first. It causes stresses. It causes people to do silly things when they've got no money, you know, they get disillusioned. But understanding where the money is, where the money is coming from, the actual goals and the strategies. So in relationships with a significant other, whether it's your wife, whether it's your husband, whether it's a partner, you know, it doesn't matter. Having that transparency of where you're going, what you're doing, where the losses are, where the successes are, you know, celebrate the wins, look at the losses and strategize together. You'll be amazed that, you know, with the right partner beside you, that you'll get a loss and you'll say, I really messed up, we lost this. And they'll say, that's okay, we'll get it back on the next one. And because you've involved them the whole way, it's not a shock. It's not, I'm sorry, darling, but the repo man's coming to get your Mercedes-Benz tomorrow. What? You didn't tell me things were this bad? And that causes a huge risk to having that transparency. Yeah, and that total, and I really believe in total financial transparency. So you each know what's going on, and the shocks are not shocks. They're just, okay, we knew this was coming. We saw it a long time ago. We've got strategies around it, and they'll make suggestions to you and support you, which is probably huge. Yeah.
You were talking about the right partner. What do you think, from your point of view, of course, from what you have seen, what are the characteristics of the right partner for someone that is
Okay. They say birds of a feather flock together. What I would say is, when we're younger, we'll go for looks, you know. She's sexy, he's sexy. Well, this is great. Let's see if I can smooch up and, and do a bit of swooning on this. But I think it's like everything in life, once you get real, if you're going to select a partner, if you're seriously sitting down and say, I'm going to be a multimillionaire, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to be a business person, I want to be a business person. It is no use marrying, man, woman who doesn't want that. It's no use marrying, and I'm not saying there's right or wrong here, by the way. It's no use marrying. My mother-in-law would always say, God bless her, my favorite mother-in-law always said, but she said, why don't you just get a real job and become a fireman like normal people? But that was her expectation. She wanted her husband, you've got a job, you've got to work 9 till 5, we got the money, we got the caravan, we're going home. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's what they want in life. And if you marry someone who has that attitude and inbuilt in them, and it's not a right or wrong, it's just how they are, and they won't stand the stresses of business. They'll constantly be going, look, why don't you just go get a real job? This isn't working. Let's just quit this, get a real job, become a fireman, become a policeman, go work for Joe Bloggs down the road. So I think the first thing is you have to define yourself and say, okay, this is the person I want to be. So it's not a to-do list, it's a to-be list. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to create a business. I want to have this. I want to give this to my family, and write those things down. And then say, well, if that's what I want, I'm now constructed me. Really what I want is the mirror image of me, but who still wants the same things, who still believes in those things. So when you start dating, that'll be the questions I'd be digging. Do you like this? Do you like that? I'm fine where they're interested and where they're coming from, because there's no use in going, oh yeah, I'll support you. That sounds great. And then you go get married and you find as you grow in entrepreneurship and they don't, the divide will just fall away, and you'll never put it together because you're not fixing an opinion issue. You're fixing a fundamental core belief issue, and you can't expect someone to change their core belief system. So yeah, if you really, and it sounds a little bit calculating, but it's not really. Just write down who you want to become, and then when you go dating, spend that little bit of time, ask them the questions, ask them about their life, ask them about that. I met Kathy, my wife, and she'd been to America, she'd done nannying in England, she'd been on all these adventures, she'd been to Egypt by herself, she'd done all these crazy things, and I just went, that's me. I love doing crazy things too. And after 3 weeks, I proposed to her. And 35 years later, we're still married. Mm-hmm. But we're both the same. We're different, but we are the same. We like crazy stuff.
So you say to me that it's important for someone that work is an entrepreneur, have a business, have partners that have common goals and vision in life.
Yeah. And if you're a risk taker, marry a risk taker. If you like to travel, don't marry someone who's a homebody, who wants to spend it with the nieces and nephews and the mums and the dads. And, I can't leave mum, but I couldn't leave mum for longer than a week. And you're a traveler? You're crazy. I don't care how good looking the person is, male or female. It ain't the right person for you. It's not going to last because you're going to get itchy feet and you're going to feel held back and all the wrong things are going to happen. Where if you're a traveler and you love working hard, maybe you've got a normal job and you work, but your entrepreneurship is to work, get extra, do these side hustles, so forth. But your whole goal is to get money to travel. Then your partner that you're meeting should also have that drive and that burning ambition that, I love going here. I went to Bali. I went to India. I went to there. And then aha, we're the same. You start getting some core commonalities. So that is for traveling. So it's the same for business. Have a look at what their opinions are about being, Kathy, when I met her, she was nannying for merchant bankers. And she was fascinated by these people, and she can tell you about it. And then she nannied for a Lady Bidoff with her manor house. So she got to experience all these manor houses and going, wow, this is cool. She got to see the money. She got to see how they lived. And she got to talk to the business people because their sons and daughters were all business. And she got to talk to them. She was telling me all this exciting stuff. And it was like, wow, and it excited me. So as we started talking, she said, well, you're in the military. I said, yeah, but that really excites me too. And I guess from day one, we already had the expectation it was only going to be a couple of years and we'd be moving out of the military and trying to do things for ourselves because in her core, she'd seen that and she wanted that. I'd seen it and I wanted it.
You were talking about the dating. What do you think, what are the 3 conversations that you think people go out dating should have with the one that maybe can become something important? Give me 3 type of conversation people should have.
Should have. Do you want to have kids? And if you do, what are you going to call them? What's their names going to be? And this may be crazy for some people, but on my second date with Kathy, I asked her, if we could have kids, would you like kids? She could have turned around and said, I'm not having kids with you, mate. You're off your rocker. But the conversation went, I said, I tell you what, if we had a boy and a girl, you write their names down and I'll write down the names and we'll have a bit of fun over a drink. This is bonding, she handed over a slip of paper and the two names were Joshua and Cassandra, and my two names were Joshua and Cassandra. My daughter's called Cassandra. We changed our mind on Joshua, just that there were so many Joshuas around, and we're watching James Bond and went, let's call him James. Okay, we'll call him James. So that was one conversation we had. Another conversation, I said, well, you've traveled so much, because she had. What are you going to feel like stuck at home all day and stuck in Perth, West Australia? And she goes, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I said, well, I'm in the military, so we're going to move around anyway. She goes, great. And we'll use the money to go on holidays. Cool. Excellent. Worked for me. And what was the third one? The first one was kids. I remember, so some people would say, you on the second date, you asked that? Yes. Then I asked her about her travel and what she said. And then I asked her, how do you see it? If we got married, and I'm on about like the third, maybe fourth date here. If we got married, how do you think we should live? What do you think we should have? What should be for our kids? And she described this rich, wealthy lifestyle with the cars, the kids playing their sports, but paying for their uni. And she made a whole. Women are very good at this. And I'm sure some of the guys out there as well, your partner, one of you is going to be really good at this, and it's going to click with the other one. So either you're really good at being able to articulate this, whether you're a man or a woman, and the partner you have is probably going to be very receptive to it. If they're not receptive to it, move on. And if you're the person who's receptive and they're not telling you anything that you're receiving, then move on. But yeah, so she described this life, and I went, yeah, I want that too. And I think together we could get it.
Love it. Okay. What are the ritual and the habit that you and your wife built in your 35 years of marriage to make it successful?
Okay, every morning. So in the mornings, we'll always have a coffee. I make the coffee, so we always have a coffee together. We'll discuss what we're going to do for the day. I'll be telling her what I'm going to do. She'll tell me what she's going to be doing, and where the two overlap. We might do spontaneous things. She'll say, well, you can't fancy grabbing lunch a bit later? Yeah, why not? So we just don't have particular date nights. We have a couple of favorite little restaurants we can pop out to for lunch, and so we'll do things like that. During the day, I'll normally if I'm having a lunch break or so, if I'm away, and I'm somewhere else, I will always ring. I give her a summary of what the day's going on, what her day is, where I saw some opportunities, stuff like that. We're talking some business, some personal, how the kids doing, what they're up to. And then nighttime, we'll do a bit of a summary about our days. We'll ask about the kids, have you heard from the kids, what they're up to, what the grandkids up to, stuff like that. So we will probably make formal times is morning, either lunch or just after lunch, and evening, where we'll actually have at least 30 minutes where we just talk about that stuff. Yeah, 3 times a day.
When I work with couples, many times have these people, they come in, they're married for 30 years, 25, 30 years, and then find themselves when the kids, they're grown up, the kids go out of their house, and they find difficult then restart the relationship. And so this is why they have challenges because they maybe lost the way of the communication they had, because anyway, the kids were giving what they were missing from each other. Now the kids left, and they find themselves looking at each other as they say, what are you going to do here? Because we haven't spoke about us in the last 20 years. What do you think the ritual, the ritual that you use the habit that you have helped you in that moment of your life?
Well, and I'm not a relationship counselor, but I would say, so your kids have left, and maybe you have grown apart, maybe you didn't have communication going on all the time. I would be honest and just look at each other and be saying, okay, here we are. We've got some great kids now. We've had a good life, yet we haven't communicated enough. But I'd be looking at each other and saying, do you still like me? Do I still like you? And maybe it's the first date syndrome again. Maybe it is. Look, you know, how old are we now? We've been made to, we might be 50, 55, maybe we're 60, but maybe we're 45, 50, and you're going at 50. Darling, mate, you ain't got long left on the planet. Now, you could go to somebody else, and I could go to somebody else and tag into them, but you've missed out on 30 years of their life that you know nothing about, you were never a part of, so you're going to never have the bond. We have a 30-year bond, all right? We've drifted apart, we haven't communicated, we may be struggling right now. But the first question is, do we want to stay together? If the question is, yeah, I still like you, terrific. Let's start dating. Let's start dating. Right. When can we go on a date? When are you available to go on a date? Remind me again. What type of food do you like? And I'll book a restaurant. Remind me again, you know, what drink do you like? Is it lemon, lime, and bitters? Or is it that large pint of soda water with a dash of lemon? Or is it a white wine? Remind me again so I can remember. And what it is, it's showing the other person you're willing to make an effort. If the first stage is, yes, we still like each other. No, I don't want to split up. Great, let's date. Let me rediscover you. And then on those dates, do what we all do on dates. Say, look, I've been thinking about my life and the journey I want to do in the next 20, 30 years that I've got left on the planet. And because once you're gone, the only person who's going to remember you is maybe your wife, your kids, possibly grandkids, and no generation after that. So you're pretty irrelevant if you get an ego on the go. So you're going to only have the partner you've got now to make life really exciting. And say, let's not play it safe. Look, playing it safe is the most dangerous thing you can do in the life. What I mean, if you try play it safe in your relationship, not rock the boat, not upset them, not tell them your dreams, not tell them your ambitions because you might upset them, you might frighten them, then poor you. Because playing it safe is really dangerous. So once you establish you really like each other, let's stop playing safe. Let's go on the date. Let me risk showing you what I want to do in the next 20, 30 years and ask you, do you want to come along? And you show me what you want to do, and let's see if we can combine them. And then let's do what every business and entrepreneur business person does, is say, okay, so what's our number one goal living together for the next 25, 30 years? See every country on the planet? Fantastic. Make $1 million? Fantastic. You know, whatever it is, that's what you're going to do. And you make that the central goal. And then coming off that central goal, you'll say, so what are some of the minor goals? So if we're going to travel to every country in the world, where's our top 3? Where's our second 3? Where's our mini holidays we can slip in the middle? Okay, let's cost them out. Let's go get the money and make it happen. You go get the brochures. You go download the information. You book the trip. I'll go get the money. Whatever it is, start assigning roles as if you know. And I know it sounds businessified, but business is about communication. Business is about people. It's just a fancy way of saying people interacting with people, and you're getting paid for the reward. Well, if you've got a significant other and you put this effort in, the rewards are pretty good. If you get my drift, you know, we kind of enjoy the rewards. So do it with someone you got 30 years and bring back the magic. So that's what I would start doing. Stop playing safe. Stop being boring. Take a few risks. Have a bit of confidence in yourself. Anyone can do it. Tell them what you want to do in the next 20, 30 years. If you're not sure, ask them and let them say it. But build something exciting, dangerous, adventurous. Because I tell you what, when you're 90 in your rocking chair and you can't move anymore and you can't travel because the insurance costs are too high, all you're going to have is the laughs and giggles of those adventures you've had together and the crazy stuff you did.
I love it. I love it. And you're right. A relationship is a business. The same way that we run our house, we run our business. So you need this two that work together for common goals. And a business is no different than a family. It is
No,
the
and the
same.
family has values. If you're Italian, so you go to an Italian family. Most Italian families I have got a family code. You walk in, it may not be written and stamped on the wall, but most Italian families I know, you walk in, you'll soon nana, nonna, papa, dad. This is how our family conducts itself. They really have a very strong family code, and maybe that is lacking in a family. Maybe it's your family, maybe someone listening, or they say we don't really have a family code. You probably do under the surface, but maybe you should articulate it a little bit better. This is how my family conducts itself. So my relationship, it would be, what is the code for this relationship? In business, we'd call them values. We normally have three of them, how we treat suppliers, how we treat customers, and how we treat our employees. In a relationship, what are the three values that you're going to have with each other? That will be your code of conduct for this relationship. Maybe you only have one. It won't matter. But you've got to have a code of conduct that says, this is how we treat each other. A Jewish friend of mine, one of his codes of conduct for his family, if his wife called out to him, he wouldn't yell back. He would walk to the room where she was in and then speak to her. That's his code. And he said, and I will always do it. It's respect for her. I'm not yelling backwards and forwards through my household. That is not how I conduct myself. So she would call out, whatever his name was, and I can't remember his name now, call him David. And his code was to walk into the room where she was, whether that's the kitchen, the lounge room, watching TV, the bedroom, wherever, the bathroom, didn't matter. He would actually walk to her and say, yes, you called me. How can I help? Having a code, what it does, what it gives to me, it's giving connection back between the two of you. So if your partner yells out, imagine what it would do to your connection if you got up, stopped doing what you were doing, and walked to them and said, yes, I'm here. How respectful is that? How much impact and emotional does that show the other person your respect for that person? That you're saying, I love you, and here I am. Love's a word. Actions actually speak it louder. So just little things like that. So you could sit down and talk about things. You might hear what other people do. Have a listen to what other successful people do. That's one. Maybe you say, yeah, I'll get up and I'll make the coffee in the morning and we'll discuss our day together. Maybe it's, yeah, let's have random lunch dates. But let's always talk at lunchtime or just after lunch and do a half-day review. If you're in business, don't you do a half-day review? You're always reviewing. And then nighttime, let's review the day. In business, you're always reviewing your day. So why not review your day in a relationship? You want to build a successful business, so say, have reviews, real snappy, sharp, but set times when these reviews are happening, whether with personnel, whether it's with yourself, whether you're reviewing the books, do it in a relationship. If it builds success in a business doing things like that, it'll build success in a relationship doing things like that.
I love it. Yeah, no, thank you for all this knowledge that you freely share with me and with the listeners. I think it's a very important conversation to have, and especially from someone that have actually been able to keep together a very successful business as you did, and as you do, because you're still performing fantastically, and you have a relationship that is thriving. So it means that the things that you put in place in everyday work with you and your partner actually work out. So
yeah, I will say that those things I'm talking about will not feel natural to start off with. They'll feel forced. They may feel a little bit false, but it's like anything. You do them become a habit. And when they become a habit, they do become natural and they just become part of you. Give them 30, 60, 90 days and you'll transform your life completely.
Absolutely. Well, because anyway, when we move in together with someone, we have all value. She has their value, and all value must connect. And if you have a period of time that you have, earthquake assessment, you have these assessment things, and if you're smart enough to understand that you need to change yourself without waiting the other person change, well, everything will be much better. And it's the same with business. If you can change the attitude that you have toward your business will change toward you. That's correct.
The success of a business is reliant on you, and the success of your marriage or your relationship is reliant on you, not the other person. As soon as
That's
you
it.
blame the other person, you've given away your power to make it a success.
Yes. You find the excuses for not succeed in life. Well, Michael, we are at the end of this conversation. Thank you so much. If someone out there want to work with you on their business, on their journey as entrepreneur, and I can say I really sponsor Michael because we have been together for 1 year now. We are working on building myself as a person as well. He's a very and he's a great mentor. If people want to work with you, where they can find you?
I would say because I have multiple roles, and so people do find it quite difficult to find me because it's not something I actually do. I do it for people that I really like, but business is really where I'm at. And why don't they just contact you and come through there, or they can have a look at my YouTube channel, which is called The 101 Connections, just THE, the numbers 101. Someone asked me what 101 means, and they said, does it mean one-on-one? I said, actually means 101. It needs 101 connections to be successful. It's a constant reminder to me and the people I work with. That's actually what it stands for.
Okay. So to be successful, we need 101 connection. What do you mean with that?
If you aim to build 101 connections, you cannot fail.
What kind of connection we need?
Okay, so the connections you need start with the family. They then branch out into networking. I always say networking is the price you pay for success. You'll find business people there and other entrepreneurs if this is business. Your connections with suppliers. I always treat suppliers as if they're going to be my customer. So I treat them as if they are a customer. Building connections with government authorities. So you might join different support groups. You might join, we have ones in Australia, you might join like a community group, build connections there, because inside those community groups, like for shires and councils here, you'll find normally there's governmental or shire people on there. So they can help you through some of the government red tape, and they can lead you up the ladder to different people. Through them, it's who they know and can connect you when you need that sort of thing. Obviously, businesses around the world. And when I say, and then with your connections is, I don't mean to be egotistical, but how high can you get with those connections? Are your connections the businessman that owns $1 million business, or can you have a business connection with a business owner that owns a multi-million-dollar business, or can you build a business connection with managing directors running Fortune 500s? Go for them. They're fun. They're normal people like me and you. Can you sit on advisory boards? Can you go and do the company director's course where you don't need a pre-qualification to do it? You can just do it. Don't worry, pass or fail. Like, never even enters my head. I'm not interested. I just want to do it because I'm after connections. And the people there are doing the board of directors course. It means that they are people climbing the ladder and want to be successful. They're the type of people. So have a look at courses like that. And someone says, oh, do you think you'll pass? Do you think you'll fail? And I go, I don't care. And they go, but you're doing the course because the other 10, 15 people on the course are the people I want to talk to. The course is irrelevant. It's the connection that's possible.
Well. As you see, I will keep going and talk with you for another 3 hours, I think. So we have to close here this podcast. Thank you so much, Michael. So if you want to meet Michael, you go on YouTube. You can find the one-on-one connection.
Leave me a comment. I always respond to all my comments. Or
Yes.
contact yourself, Mauro, and you'll put them in touch with me.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Have a lovely day. And guys from POP, we'll see each other next episode with another fantastic interview. Ciao.